How do you follow that? I told you it was going to be amazing, didn't I? What an incredible car, and it looks fast even when it's standing still. I just can't wait to see it driven in anger on racetracks next year. So now that we've seen the new car, I'm sure you've got many questions about what is changing in 2022. So to answer some of those questions, let me bring in now Sam Collins. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Rosanna, and I think it looks fantastic, doesn't it? And I think the best way to start to take a look and understand this car is to talk to two people who are integrally responsible for its creation, Ross Brawn and Nikolas Tombazis. And we caught up with them earlier at Silverstone Circuit to take us through this car and what it's all about.
War Thunder, the military online action game, has received this year's first major update. The brand.
I'm Ross Brawn, and I'm here with Nikolas Tombazis to walk and talk you through the 2022 car that's just been unveiled.
This car is the embodiment of new regulations, and that's a result of a multi-year effort between the FIA and Formula One to review the technical, the sporting and the financial aspects of Formula One.
I think it's a pretty striking new design. We wanted it to look great, 18-inch wheels, a lot of new features, and we think it's a fantastic race car.
This is not just cosmetic, of course. We've had a multi-year collaboration between the FIA and Formula One to review the aerodynamics. All these shapes you see around the car are made in such way to improve the flow to the rear car and to improve racing.
And the whole objective behind this has been this closer racing. We want the best drivers to win, but we want a much closer competition. We want them battling wheel to wheel. To enable this, we've got a much simpler front wing design. The floor is a lot more straightforward, more ground effect, and then we've got these wheel weight devices which surround the 18-inch wheels and the larger Pirelli tyres.
There will be sporting regulation changes. For example, during a race weekend, the number of car upgrades will be limited in order to stop the development arms race. Plus, there are many simplified and standardized components in order to cut costs.
So this is the start of a new journey, a new philosophy, a new culture, where the raceability of these cars is going to be vital to the future of Formula One. And why do we do that? We do that because we want to entertain the fans. We want to engage the fans. We want new fans to come into the sport, and we want to respect and maintain our existing fans so they remain excited about the pinnacle of motorsport.
It won't happen overnight. We will obviously study what solutions the teams produce, and we will keep working at it to improve, but we believe over time the racing will improve sizably.
So this is a unique new chapter in our sport, and these regulations have evolved to make Formula One the absolute greatest racing spectacle and to push our sport to the very forefront of global culture and entertainment.
Joining us again is Nikolas Tombazis, and Pat Symonds now joins us. He's the Chief Technical Officer of Formula One, and Mario Isola from Pirelli. He's the head of F1 and car racing at the tyre supplier. Nikolas, tell us how you got started on the journey to what we see in front of us.
Hello. Between FIA and Formula One, we set out a project to see how we can improve the experience for the fans in Formula One. So we set a team of tech, etc. So what we established quite early was that what we felt we could make a big step was how close the cars race each other. Not so much the actual overtaking, but how close they race, being able to follow each other, fight each other throughout the race. So that's what we've been trying to do, mainly acting on the aerodynamics.
Now, Pat, you've been working extensively on these cars for a number of years to spice up the show. Now, a lot of technology and aerodynamic research has gone into this. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey that we've been on?
Well, we started the journey in 2017, so we spent longer on this car than I think any other car that has been produced in Formula One in terms of getting some regulations together. Now, the aerodynamics generally in a team is developed in three ways. It's developed using computational fluid dynamics. We've really concentrated on our computational fluid dynamics and backed it up with some wind tunnel testing. But our CFD has been much more sophisticated than is used in the teams. And we've been able to do that thanks to our partners at Amazon and AWS, who've allowed us to run these very sophisticated simulations in around 70% of the time, or 70% saving in time, to what we were doing initially. Now, to give you an idea of how big these things are, our CFD project uses over 1,150 computer cores, and we have 550 million data points on each model that we run. We've run 7,500 simulations since we started, so that's around 16.5 million core hours of computing. Now, to put that into context, if you did that on a pretty sophisticated sort of 4-core laptop, it would take you 471 years to do what we've done in developing this car. We've also produced a huge amount of data, around a petabyte of data. And to put that in context, that's equivalent to 10 million 4-drawer filing cabinets full of sheet paper all written on, or around a third of the 10 billion images that are on Facebook at the moment.
Mario, now noticeably Nikolas and Ross mentioned the tyres a little bit earlier, but I'm sitting with these in front of me. A lot of people are going to ask why we've moved from the 13-inch rubber to the 18-inch. What's this about?
For several reasons. First of all, we have a more modern tire because 13 inches are no more used on road cars. We had to redesign completely the product. It's not just the size, it's a new family of compounds because to achieve the target of close racing means to have a wider working range, to have compounds that suffers less of overheating, and we had to redesign completely the product.
The rocket equation, it's a beautiful thing. No astronaut.
Well, that's quite a big change that we see on the car. Nikolas, I can see the halo and the rear impact structure on the car. What can you tell me about the safety improvements that have been made for these cars going forwards?
Well, obviously the safety has been an incremental process throughout the life of Formula One since the 1950s until today. And we wanted this car, apart from being more exciting to watch, to be another step safer. So we've worked very hard with the teams to make much more stringent safety regulations. The most important ones are the front nose. It can absorb in an impact about 50% more energy. The side of the car is also about twice as strong to lateral impact. We've made improvements to the headrest for the driver, to the fuel tank. We've made it much more difficult for debris to be spread out on the track, which would make it dangerous for other cars. So we've been working very hard on all of this safety matter.
Nikolas, we've seen 70 years of innovation in this sport and engineering, but something that's really important to me and to many people at home, what's Formula One doing to ensure there is a sustainable future for the sport?
Well, sustainability comes in two aspects in the modern world. One is, of course, the environmental side, which is we've been working to make step towards improving the carbon footprint, both on the fuels and on the engine. And we're also making steps on the financial side. We believe that there's a lot of margin for improvement to make the sport more sustainable. So, for example, in 2021, we have the financial regulations. These are going to become more and more prominent in Formula One. And a lot of parts of the car are going to be cheap and more affordable. And all of that is pushing towards the same direction of making this sport more affordable.
Now, Pat, it's such an important topic. Sustainability is everything at the moment. What changes are we expecting going forwards in terms of improving sustainability of Formula One?
Well, we're doing a lot of things, both at the events themselves and, in fact, with the cars, and particularly in the realm of fuels. Now, you may know that for a number of years there's been a requirement for Formula One fuels to contain 5.75% of a bio-sourced component. But for various reasons, these bio-components have deviated somewhat from those that we would like to see in road fuels. Now, the FIA and Formula One remain very, very committed to introducing a fully sustainable fuel in the near future. And we've been researching that subject very intensely, along with our partners at Aramco. Now, already from an engine, because we will be showing that for the vast number of internal combustion engines that will still be around in the 2030s, there is actually an alternative to fossil fuels.
Well, Nikolas, I mean, it's going to be great to see these cars on track, but when we do see them on track, what do you expect to see?
Well, I can't wait to see them myself, of course. We expect to see closer racing. Maybe not from the first race, because maybe somebody will get the new rules right and somebody wrong. but very soon we expect to see a closer level of competitivity between the cars and cars being able to follow each other more closely.
And looking a little bit further ahead, Pat, what are your wishes for this new car and the coming seasons with this wonderful new rulebook?
Well, we certainly want to grow our fan base, and we want to do that by producing just fantastic racing.
Well, thank you so much, guys. That was absolutely fascinating, and I cannot wait to see these cars on track next year. So we've heard from the experts who've designed and developed the car over the last 3 years, but now it's time to meet the drivers and see what they think. We caught up with them earlier to get their first impressions of the car. So let's go to Silverstone and see what they thought.
Sounds like the drivers are looking forward to next season just as much as we are. Now, I'm joined by two F1 fans before they perform an exclusive mix of their track, Keep Moving. Please welcome Tom and Josh from Jungle. Guys, great to see you. And Tom, you are a huge F1 fan. So standing next to the 2022 car, what are your first impressions of it?
It's very exciting. I feel very privileged to be here. I think it looks great, very fluid, very, I guess, liquid. Looks like it's going to cut through the air. That front wing is it's really special. It's a big change, so I'm very excited to see it in action.
Sounds like you're an F1 engineer rather than a musician, Tom. What is it about F1 that you love so much?
I think it's just a sport of such fine margins. I mean, like tenths and hundreds of seconds separating these guys between glory and failure, and that's just like a really epic thing to see play out on a Sunday.
Now, Josh, what is happening in the world of Jungle? I know that you have launched an F1 Tracks playlist takeover to celebrate F1 One Begin. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've put together a playlist for F1 of all of our favourite driving tracks, and we've got an album coming out on August 13th, which is our new album called Lovin' in Stereo, so we're super excited about that as well.
Wow, lots to look forward to. Now, I would love to stay and chat to you more about the car, about your music, but I know you need to get ready for the set, so I will let you go and get ready.
Thank you very much.
And now we've got a treat for you. Here's Jungle.
We've got a brand new iPhone 12 in a mouse case. 3, 2, 1, go!
Whilst nothing makes your tech indestructible, that won't stop us trying.
Oh, it's fine!
It took a lot.
Keep moving, keep moving.
amazing and brings us to the end of the show. Thanks to the FIA, to Formula One and the global partners of Formula One for inviting us to the launch. Thanks to our F1 drivers and executives for their time and insight. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. Hopefully, we'll see you all very soon. Enjoy the British Grand Prix and the first ever F1 sprint this weekend. Goodbye.